Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles. I want to welcome you guys to another episode of The Conversation. And today I got a pretty interesting topic for you guys. And the question is, can Pascal Siakam lead the Raptors to the NBA Finals? And that's what I want to get into this video today. Before we go too far, I want you guys to go ahead and hit the like button if you haven't already. And make sure you hit the subscribe button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bells to be notified when all of our content drops so you don't miss it and you're not commenting on videos super late. So just go ahead and do that right now. Now, let's get back into the topic. Now, all of you guys know that the NBA season is officially back. It all depends on when you guys are seeing this video. I'm shooting this video on June 5th, but the NBA announced last night, or on June 5th, that the NBA season is back and they're going to be bringing back 22 teams in Orlando, and they're going to play, I think, 8 regular season games, and they're going to have some kind of tournament to determine the lower seeded teams who's going to get the final 8th seed, which I'm not too sure about how all of that is exactly going to play out. And then we're going to begin the playoffs, and then, you know, they're going to be going with the traditional 18 teams format, the number 1 seed playing the number 8 seed, number 2 seed playing the number 7 seed, and so on and so forth. And that's how they're going to go through the rounds, and they're going to have the Western Conference and the Eastern Conference. Now, I'm not necessarily sure about the logistics of all of that. I don't know how many arenas that they have in Florida. I don't know how they're going to do that, but I'm sure more information will be coming out in the coming days and coming weeks. But we're definitely looking to have the NBA back towards the end of July. So that's going to be definitive. And I'm really excited about it. Now, I remember throughout the lockout and when this global pandemic was at its zenith, I know a lot of you guys were sort of freaking out and saying, oh my God, what's going to happen, blah, 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 whatever it is. And I told a lot of you guys in the comment section that I believed that we were going to have a season. And I remained optimistic, and it turns out, it looks like, in fact, we're going to have an NBA season. So I'm super hype about it. I know you guys are too. So I want to talk about the Eastern Conference a little bit because you guys already know that I talk a lot about Western Conference teams. But in this case, I want to focus on the Eastern Conference, and I want to focus on the Toronto Raptors, and I want to focus on Pascal Siakam. So currently, in the Eastern Conference, the Toronto Raptors are the number 2 seed with a 46-18 record, right behind the Milwaukee Bucks, who have the overall best record in the NBA with 53 wins and 12 losses. So if the playoffs were to start today, one would assume that the Milwaukee Bucks are going to have home court advantage all throughout the playoffs. But obviously, as I said before, they're going to be playing 8 more games this regular season, so some things could change. Maybe the Lakers could take control of the number 1 seed. I don't know yet, because the Lakers are 49-14, leading the Western Conference as the number 1 seed. I don't think the Clippers are going to catch either team for the best overall record. But the Toronto Raptors have been sort of a surprise in the Eastern Conference. And, you know, although last season they were able to win the championship, their first championship, and go to the finals for the first time in their history last season, led by Kawhi Leonard, Kyle Lowry, and Pascal Siakam, I have to say I'm a bit surprised that they have the number 2 seed. And if you look at other teams like Boston, for example, who are more talented than the Toronto Raptors, or even if you look at the Philadelphia 76ers, who are currently in the number 6 spot, who've already clinched a playoff spot, according to ESPN.com, I'm still surprised to see that the Toronto Raptors have such a high seed. And I think that has to do a lot about the culture that they have up there in Toronto. It has a lot to do with the coaching staff. I think it also has to do with the fact that these guys are playing with a lot of confidence coming off of a championship run that they had last season. And I think we're starting to see that trickle into this season. But we don't really know how that's going to play out in the playoffs this season. But no one is going to doubt the fact that their best player on the team is Pascal Siakam. No one is going to dispute that fact, and he's putting up the best numbers on that team. This season, Pascal Siakam is averaging just about 26 points a game this season. He's getting you around 7.5 rebounds, 3.6 assists, and he's getting you a steal a game. So his numbers are up this season, but his running mate and Kyle Lowry is averaging 19.7 points, so let's just say 20 points a game, 4.8 rebounds, and 7.7 assists this season and also getting you 1.3 steals a game. Now, Pascal Siakam has won, the NBA Most Improved Player Award in 2019, which was just last season. And he's also an NBA All-Star for the first time in the 2020 season. And he's an NBA champion. Now, not too long ago, we did a video where I asked the question, is it crazy for Kendrick Perkins to say that that Pascal Siakam is better than Paul George? And I got a little bit of pushback in the comment section, so we're gonna put the video up here somewhere so you guys can see it. If you haven't seen that video, we're gonna link it in the description below so you guys can go and check that out and see what that video was about. But basically, some people in the comment section were saying, hey, listen, man, some people were actually saying that they would pick Pascal Siakam over Paul George, and some people thought he was better. Obviously, he's a bit more accomplished if we're talking about championship jewelry. He does have one ring, and Paul George does not have a ring. And that's the only thing he has more than Paul George. But Paul George has won the Most Improved Player of the Year award. He's a multiple-time All-Star. Last season, he was, was in the top 3 in MVP voting and in the top 3 in the Defensive Player of the Year last season. And he averaged over two steals a game last season. So for me, I was a bit surprised to see that some people thought that Pascal Siakam was better, to say that Pascal Siakam is better than Paul George, but maybe they think he has more winners intangibles, and maybe that's something that they're pointing to and saying, hey, we believe that Pascal Siakam is better than Paul George. I don't know what it is, but this season we're going to really get the chance, these playoffs, we're going to get the chance to see if Pascal Siakam can lead the Toronto Raptors to the NBA Finals. And first of all, we have to look at how realistic is that? Well, as I said before, they're the number 2 seed in the Eastern Conference. They have a better record than Boston. They have a better record than Miami, the Indiana Pacers, and the Philadelphia 76ers. Now, the question is, though, do they have what it takes to advance through the rounds? If the playoffs were to start today, they would be playing against the Brooklyn Nets, who are without Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant. Now, if Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant somehow miraculously came back, because remember, we've been on I think a 12-week hiatus with no games, and it's given a lot of these players time to sort of heal a lot of their wounds and their knick-knack injuries that they had. So if they have Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving coming back, I'm picking the Brooklyn Nets. If you guys want to pick the Toronto Raptors, that's on you guys. Now, some people may say, okay, I'll still pick the Toronto Raptors because they have more continuity, they have better team chemistry, so I can understand that argument. But if we're just going to go on star power and having Kevin Durant, if I had to choose between the team that had Kevin Durant and the team that didn't, I'm going to go with Kevin Durant's team. But assuming that Kevin Durant does not come back, then I think the Toronto Raptors are going to be able to breeze by the Brooklyn Nets. And then we're going to be looking at the other teams that they're going to be playing in the playoffs. If you had to ask me to choose, can the Raptors beat the Boston Celtics? I think is a toss-up. They probably may be able to beat the Boston Celtics, maybe because of the system that they have and the system that they have in place. Everybody knows their roles, so one would assume that they could possibly do that. But if Jason Tatum blossoms into the player a lot of people think he's going to be or is becoming, then the Boston Celtics may have an edge. But if they somehow do manage to get past the Boston Celtics and they make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, the question is, do you believe that the Toronto Raptors can beat the Milwaukee Bucks? And essentially, the bigger question I'm asking is, do you think that Pascal Siakam can beat Giannis Antetokounmpo to go to the NBA Finals? And if you had to put a gun to my head and ask me the question, I'm going to say no. I don't think that Pascal Siakam is on the level of Giannis Antetokounmpo, and I don't think a Pascal Siakam-led team can beat the Milwaukee Bucks. The reason is simple. Last season, he played against the Milwaukee Bucks, and Pascal Siakam was not the best player on the floor if we're going to be talking about the Toronto Raptors, and they're minus Kawhi Leonard. And you saw how, it was a 6-game series last season with Milwaukee taking the first 2 games. So maybe if something happens, they may be able to beat the Milwaukee Bucks. But in my opinion, I don't see them getting past the Bucks to make it to the NBA Finals coming out of the Eastern Conference. So that's my opinion. But what I want to know from you guys is, do you think that Pascal Siakam can lead the Toronto Raptors to the NBA championship and come out of the Eastern Conference? Or do you think that there's no way in hell they're going to be able to beat the Bucks, the Boston Celtics, or even the Philadelphia 76ers if they somehow manage to get matched up against them in the playoffs? So whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. Again, if you enjoyed the video, make sure you go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of our newest content when it comes out. Once again, this is Charles here from Dreamerspro. Wishing you guys an amazing day. Peace.